Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we are announcing today in reference to our search for Mr. Tom Sponseller. Mr. Sponseller was found today at approximately 10:45 at 1122 Lady Street. Mr. Sponseller was found by investigators and the investigators at the scene. Come on up here. The family reported Mr. Sponseller missing on February 18th. CPD, of course, launched an investigation into the disappearance of Mr. Sponseller. Unfortunately, again, we are reporting now that Mr. Sponseller was found at his place of business in a location down in one of the parking garages. Just my heart goes out to his family. This is very sad. The unfortunate part is that the family had to endure this very critical time when Mr. Sponseller was there. We were just unable, unfortunately, to locate him. I just want to thank the other agencies that were able to help us, SLED, Lexington County, Richland County Sheriff's Department, for giving us assistance on this case. Now we'd like to turn it over to our coroner, Gary Watts, to give further information.
Thank you, Chief. At this time, all indications are that Mr. Sponseller suffered a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. Obviously, we haven't completed the autopsy or any of the other tests. Those will be conducted tomorrow, and we should have an update on that aspect of it tomorrow. This is going to take some time. Obviously, there are a lot of tests that we're going to run. Although he's been found and everything indicates it was self-inflicted, the police department and our office is going to continue to investigate this until we can come up with obviously as many answers as we can for not only the family but for the public. So I just ask you to give us patience as we go through this. We will provide the information to you when we get it, but it's not going to be something that we're going to have for you overnight or immediately, but we will respond to you and we will provide you with updates as it comes along. Okay?
Questions? Yes, sir.
You've searched this garage before where the car was, so what about the scene today made it such that you weren't able to find his body in those previous searches?
Yeah, we searched it on the 18th, 19th, the 25th, and myself and investigators was called back to the office. We was just following up and actually found additional information, but just being the way the investigators are. They wanted to take another look, and it was a part of the lower level garage that they were not able to gain access at the time because there was no key available. But fortunately, we had a maintenance person that was with us that was able to let us in there, and unfortunately, we found him at that time.
So to understand, Mr. Sponseller was in a locked room that was in this...
It was actually a room behind a room, believe it or not. There was actually two doors that had to be accessed where Mr. Sponseller was resting.
What's the nature of this room? Is it like a utility room or something?
Yeah, like an electrical kind of telephone connection kind of room.
So not typically a room you would think the Hospitality Association would have business in?
No.
Were those doors both locked?
Say that.
The doors were both locked?
Yeah, they were locked. On the three previous searches, we were not able to gain access. But today, again, you know, the investigators just would not stop and wanted to. We're actually talking about doing another search, and just fortunately, unfortunately, in the situation, but for closure purposes, they looked again, and unfortunately, Mr. Sponseller was there.
Chief, how would he have had access to that room?
I'm not sure. I don't know if he could have accessed it and locked it from behind. It's a room that preliminarily it was a smoking area, if you will, because of the amount of cigarette butts and things. But how he accessed it, everything right now is preliminary. I don't know.
How large is this room?
It's about the size of this room. It's a fairly large room. Jack, I'm telling you what I know.
Chief, describe the scene when his body was found. Can you tell us what investigators actually found, including any any weapons, whatever was found?
There was a weapon found, and it's just very tragic. I mean, it's the scene of where, unfortunately, we believe right now that he took his life in that situation.
What type of weapon?
9mm.
Do you know if it was Mr. Sponseller's gun?
1 second, ma'am. Sir,
Do you know if it was a quick death or if it's something that could have taken?
I can't make that determination.
Do you know if the gun belonged to Mr. Sponseller?
I believe so, but we're still checking into that.
Do you guys believe he went to the office Saturday with the intention to do that? Was there any surveillance that showed he actually was working Saturday afternoon before his...
There was no surveillance. Investigators have canvassed the area multiple times. I can tell you, before we located Mr. Sponseller, we were literally standing outside, discussing, looking around for the cameras. I remember actually Jennifer Bellamy did a story talking about the cameras, and we was kind of discussing her story where the cameras were at. And so we were there looking for different types of video, but nothing was found at that time.
Chief, through your investigation, did you get any indication from anybody that this was a possibility?
Say that again, sir.
Through your investigation, did you get any kind of indication that suicide might be even a possibility?
You know, it was a possibility, but it's the possibility we didn't want to really think that would happen. And be very clear, Tom was a very good person to Columbia. He was very involved in our hospitality areas. He was at every meeting that we could possibly have. I know personally Tom was the second or maybe the third person when I became chief here that I met to offer, you know, the Hospitality Association assistance with helping the police department further its cause for Columbia. So, you know, there are a lot of scenarios, but I can't go off scenarios. What I do know now is, unfortunately, we're reporting that Mr. Sponseller is no longer with us.
Was there
Any
a note or
indication of
anything?
why through the investigation? Any idea why?
We have belief why, but we're still, that's part that we're investigating right now.
The federal investigation into
Yes, ma'am.
Sponseller.
Chief, News 19, you mentioned that this is a smoking room, lots of cigarettes.
I don't know if it was a quote-unquote designated smoking room. There were a lot of cigarettes
There's
there.
traces of people, though. It seems interesting. How do you reconcile the fact that this body had presumably been there for over a week, and that there seemed to be traffic in that area?
It was, and I can't go into detail at this point, but it was. It is what it is.
Chief, were there any other signs of a suicide, like a note or anything like that found on his person?
No, not on this person.
Was he in
Was
the
Mr.
middle of the
Sponseller a
room or was he?
gambler?
I'm sorry.
Do we have any reason to believe he was a gambler? Or does it-
I have no
He said
knowledge
note
of
was
that.
found on his person, but does a note exist?
Yes,
Where was it found?
in the office.
Is that note to his family?
It was a note, and that's as much as I'm gonna go at this point.
Is the note alleging a search down in the low level garage?
It is what brought us back to the location.
Does the note make any reference to the investigation?
Yes.
The-
Any other questions other than about the note?
Yeah, as to, it's an odd question, but when we found the body, was it up against the wall, was it touching anything, was it in the middle of the floor? Could somebody have heard him doing something in there from outside?
Probably not. And the unfortunate part, which made the search difficult for investigators, it is a level, to my knowledge, that is non-accessible on the weekends, where you have to park and you would have to walk up to get access to the building. So essentially, on that Saturday, there would not be anyone else in that area or traffic going back and forth in that location.
I'm sorry, Chief, just to be clear, on the note, you said there was reference made to the investigation. Are we talking about the investigation into the South Carolina Hospitality Association?
There was a reference to that, but I'm not commenting on the investigation. No, ma'am.
Chief, when did you find the note? You said it led you back to the location where you found his body. Was that, did that happen yesterday, today?
No, that was actually this morning. We received a call, and as we got the call, we called for investigators to meet us there because they wanted to talk about further clues. And that's just like every reference that we got, every clue that we received during this investigation, we would investigate everything from going to the VA hospital to looking at sightings. So, you know, they just would not take anything for granted.
Has had his office been searched prior to today when that note was found?
There were a limited search of his office, but today we were able to do a more detail, and some of the co-workers were also searching and led us to the letter that we just didn't have.
Why is that? It seems that when you have a missing person who was last seen at work, the office would be an ideal place to do a very thorough search right off the bat.
Investigators did a search, but I can tell you there's a distinct difference between a missing person and a criminal investigation where we just didn't have a lot of information. And when you go into detailed searches, you have to have certain probable cause. And for some instances, what we had at that time, we didn't have that. But that notwithstanding, again, just fortunately, they were able to do this search again this morning, well, now this afternoon, that led to Mr. Sponseller. And be very clear, this is sad, but again, I'm really disappointed that the family had to go through this many days of grief. And it has drawn us to, I can tell you, it's going to make us take a even more in-depth look at how we do business. We're not perfect, but I'm a little disappointed. I'll be quite honest with you. But we will get better at what we do, because that, I just feel bad for Meg and Tom Jr. that had to go through that for that many days. But it is what it appears to be at this point. And again, I just think Columbia has to take a breath and remember his family at this time right now.
When you say you guys will take a closer look at what you'll do, are you going to be implementing any type of procedures to really do something different in that?
I think so. Monique, I'm not happy with this. I got to sit here in all honesty and tell you, I'm not. I mean, we did search. The investigators searched it on the 18th. We had probably 20 officers search it on the 19th. We searched it again on the 25th. But the bottom line is the locations that he was at that point was behind 2 different locked doors. We even searched on information we received. A suggestion was at that time, no conclusive reason, but to search it with cadaver dogs, and we even did that. And we were unable to locate him then. And it's hard to explain the room that he was in, but it was at a distance.
To put a finer point on it, you seem to be suggesting that your search efforts may have lacked in that nobody accessed that room, and they did not.
We didn't have the ability
of finding the keys necessary to get into that room.
It was an office, from my understanding, they had to actually have it rekeyed to gain access, and they had it rekeyed over the weekend, got the keys redone or something of that nature. But we were just, investigators were unable to gain access to that room.
Chief, talk about, if you can, the nature of the meeting with the family, the tone, relate to us anything that you can from the family.
What I do know is they have gone through so much, the family, and not only the Sponseller family, but again, we have to remember Tom was so connected to Columbia that so many people have been thinking about his family, has been thinking about the Sponsellers right now, and it's the visit. No one, I can't describe. She was in grief, in disbelief, angry, because no one should have to go through that. And it was a visit that myself and Coroner Watts had to make, and that is no happy ending. I mean, that is nothing other than grief.
Do they have any reason to believe that he had had these thoughts of suicide?
No, ma'am.
Have you guys given the note to the family?
No, ma'am.
You have to wonder, in a situation like this, and even speaking with the family, was there any depression, indications? I mean, so many people are shocked
Right.
today in this whole thing.
Right. I don't have an answer for that right now. I don't. And all indications into speaking with I myself, when met with the family on last Sunday. When this was first reported, investigators were at the office. And there was nothing unnatural, according to Meg, that had occurred that time prior. And we were in constant conversation, so it's unfortunate.
Did you speak to Rachel Duncan?
I did not.
Did anybody from this department speak to her in requesting help or ideas on where Tom Sponseller might be located?
We did not. This department did not talk with her. Investigators, law enforcement has spoken with her and relayed questions that we had to relay. But yes, she has been spoken to about this investigation.
And just to be clear, there are 3 bottom levels of the parking garage under Tom's building. There are 3.
I do know of 2. I don't know if it's 3 or not.
Which was he found in a room or rooms off the very bottom level?
No. This is in the lower level. It's actually
But not the lowest level?
Not where he parked.
I don't know how many levels are to the garage. I honestly don't.
But was it the lowest level?
I can't answer that, John. I know I was on level 2, but I don't know how many levels that were on that garage.
And you're saying that
On 3. So he had to come one up.
And you're saying that you are disappointed in the department's effort to find him, that you should have found him?
I'm not disappointed in the department's efforts, because the department made the efforts. I'm disappointed that we did not locate him. I want to make sure that, anything we do, we learn from it. And we definitely learn from this. We're not done. This investigation is still going. All of this right now is preliminary, but I know the reason that we're doing a press conference, we know how important this case is to Columbia, just as every case is to Columbia. And we always want to do better, John. I think there's not a case I've had that I didn't learn something from that I want to do more.
And I think it's important to note, too, that although there was a delay in time and the family having to go through this period of time of the unknown and where he was, all indications are if they had found him 15 minutes after this had happened, it wouldn't have made any difference as far as the outcome for him. He would have been dead pretty much instantaneous. So it's not an issue of not finding him immediately had anything to do with the outcome of his health. It's just really the issue of how the family and the communities had to deal with it over the period of time. But it really had no outcome on the actual health of Mr. Sponseller.
So just for clarification, you guys, the note was found today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and was it hidden in a way? Did you want people to see it?
No, it was not in a plain view situation. I will go in further details at a later time about the letter. Yes, Noel?
Can you go over the locks on both doors and the keys? You said re-key, but I don't understand. Were there keys to that room missing?
No, they wasn't missing. The maintenance personnel of the building did not have the keys to have access to it when we did the searches. And they had to, in speaking with the gentleman today who was the maintenance guy, he said they had to have it re-keyed to get in.
They had to have a locksmith come in and make new keys today to get in there?
I think it was over the weekend. And it's not the keys to get into there, but it's like a master key that will access other rooms, not that room particularly.
Why didn't you have a key to that?
I can't answer that.
Did
I don't
you
know.
have a key?
We didn't.
Did you find keys on the body that would have accessed the room?
We still, at that point, we hadn't got there yet.
Chief, do you have any idea how, it's like there was a lot of traffic there, but this was really remote, no one had keys to it. So how does Tom Sponseller end up in this room, and how does no one pass by?
It's not a traffic room, and I can't explain it. You would have to know where the room is to go to the room. It's not a room that anyone passes by. It's not a room that is a traffic kind of area at all.
Had the dogs been brought into that specific location
Yes.
and they picked up nothing?
No.
In the whole investigation, did anybody ever report to you hearing noises inside of the closet?
No.
Never heard that at all?
No. Not to me.
No one involved in the investigation?
The answer is no.
And the dogs weren't able to Is there an explanation for why the dogs missed it?
No, ma'am. I can't answer
They didn't
that.
go into the room, though. They were.
No, we didn't have access. Right.
So after you found the note,
One more question.
you knew this was a room you wanted to go to because you hadn't opened it before?
No, investigators was going to it and then asked the maintenance guy, this is a room and several other rooms that we couldn't definitively get in that was not known for traffic or not known for area. And again, like I said, the investigators didn't want to give up looking. So fortunately, we had the gentleman, the maintenance gentleman there, and we're able to get access. Yes, ma'am.
I assume you talked to the last person relative that spoken to him.
Say a little louder,
The
Jack.
last person who spoke to him, you interviewed that person.
Yes.
And that person gave absolutely no indication that there was anything unusual about his behavior or that he was feeling despondent or anything.
Not that was reported to me, Jack.
Was that person at the office with him on the 18th?
Yes.
And they had no indication that he would go to that level of the parking garage?
That I am familiar with, me, Randy Scott, no. Investigators may have something else, but no. Nothing that stood out at that
You
point.
mentioned coworkers searched the office. Did they find the letter and call investigators, or did investigators find it?
They found the letter. They did.
So he did actually go into his office, interact with some coworkers before committing this act?
Yeah, this was back on the 18th.
Right, so he
Yeah.
actually did get some work done?
I can answer
Was
that.
the intention, did it just hit him, or is it like, I'm gonna go out, I'm going to do this? This is the only reason I'm going to the office today.
That's 100% speculation. I don't know. One last question.
Can you
That's it.
elaborate on the avenues that you still are getting?
Yeah, we still have, the Coroner Watts still has his investigation to go over as far as autopsy. We're doing some things I'm not at liberty to talk about now, just to, just because we see what we see, we don't want to assume. So I like to make sure that we do everything necessary to ensure what we believe at this point is factual. And just making sure, and again, I don't want to, leave this podium with no misunderstanding. I think Columbia really did a lot in the situation, and I think that many people called to put forth effort. I think that's not to be forgotten. But at the end of the day, it is unfortunate what we believe happened to Mr. Sponseller. But I just, it's just have to learn from it. And again, my thing from a personal standpoint, I just really hate that for Meg and for his family, we didn't find him sooner. It just was unfortunate with the way that the room was designed, the lack of having the key, the cadaver dogs not hitting at the time. It is what, I wish I could elaborate more on that. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
All right.
Chief, I'm gonna use your podium